Hey guys, what's up? My name is Jenny Marquez. I'm 19 years old, and I was born on October 12, 2000 in the city of Lancaster, California. And growing up, I grew up with my mom's side of the family. I'm blessed enough to say that I had a great childhood. Growing up, I wasn't really like most girls. I didn't really have an interest in most of the things that girls liked. I grew up playing sports. I loved to skate. I used to love riding a bike, and my uncle was a big car guy, so I developed an interest in that. My other uncle, he loved ATVs and dirt bikes and things of that sort. So I developed such an interest in those things. But it wasn't always too glamorous. At the age of 4, my dad left my family and I. And it was there where I don't really remember too much of what took place, but I know that my dad was really abusive towards my mom, both physically and verbally. And I didn't really understand at the time. I couldn't really comprehend what was going on because I was so young, but it didn't really affect me because I didn't really have a relationship with my dad growing up, but I kind of just brushed it off and I just went about my life. And at the age of 9, I found myself in a pit of depression. It was there where I also developed an eating disorder. And I just had so much self-hatred. I was really insecure and I just was depressed. And it got to the point where I didn't even want to go to school anymore. And so I would cry every single day because I just didn't want to go. And the days that I would go, I just really kept to myself. And a lot of people tried coming to me, trying to be friends with me, but I honestly just didn't want to be around anybody. I was really scared. I was really timid and shy and quiet. And it wasn't until middle school came along, it was like I just became this instant social butterfly. I broke out of my shell. I began to meet new people. I developed all these different friendships with all sorts of people. And my best friend and I were really well known around campus. And it was there also where I got exposed to things like drugs, alcohol, parties, relationships. And so I found myself in my first relationship, but I couldn't keep that relationship. I ended up breaking that line of commitment, and it was there also where I put an end to that because I also developed an interest not only for guys anymore but also for girls. And so all this followed me through high school. And my high school journey, I was a student athlete. I maintained a GPA of 3.5 or higher, and everything was well, everything was good, I thought. Externally, I put on this facade to make it seem that everything was good, everything was all right, but internally I was really dead inside. I was really empty, and I found myself having suicidal tendencies, and I was just really depressed, and I was ready to just end it all. And eventually I just came to the end of myself, and it was there in my senior year of high school where I was done. I wanted to call it quits, but something happened, something that I'll never forget. And it was there where a friend of mine came to a Wednesday night gang service, and she actually posted on Snapchat one night of a skit that was taking place here at a gang night. And I was just scrolling through my phone, just doing my thing. And for some reason, I came across that video, and it instantly just captivated me because I knew of all the party scene and the party life, but for some reason, whatever that was, it just attracted me. So the following day, I was there in the classroom with my friend, and I was kind of hesitant on asking her about where this place was or what this thing was, because my friends and I, we weren't the type of people to talk about God or about religion. And so I stood there in my seat, debating whether or not to ask her. And soon enough, without me bringing it up, 5 minutes before class ended, she brought it up, and instantly I was captivated by it, and I told her that I wanted to go. And so the next week, the day before, I asked my mom if I could go, and she kind of looked at me as if I was crazy, because I also mentioned to her that it was a Christian church. And growing up, I didn't grow up in a Christian household. I grew up going to a Catholic church. We weren't consistent goers, so it was kind of odd for me to ask her. And so she kind of, was iffy about it, but she agreed to it. And so afterwards, the day came, and as we're driving, I'm just sitting there in my seat, nervous, I'm anxious because I don't know what's about to take place. I don't know what's about to happen. But for some reason, I just felt that I needed to be there. And so I got to the church, and I ended up going through the wrong doors, but then I was led to the right doors. And right before I walked in, I just remember telling God, God, I don't know why I'm here, but you brought me here, and I'm here. And so as I walked in through those doors, I instantly fell in love. The atmosphere was so beautiful, and I just remember seeing all these young people just worshiping, living in that moment, and it felt like nothing else mattered in the world. And I remember also just seeing the lights and the way everything was like just set up. And so finally I found my friends, and they saved me a spot. And so I sat down, and I was just looking around, admiring everybody, looking at the way that they were worshiping, because it was all so new to me. It was something that I've never really seen before. And finally the worship was over, and I remember as soon as it was over, it was time for greeting. And I remember just a bunch of girls just coming up to me. And if you guys know who Sister Iris is, she was the first one to introduce herself to me. And after that, all these other people began to come up to me, and I just felt so welcome right then and there. I felt so accepted, and I just felt so loved. And not long after, it was time to hear the word. And I remember Brother Fern was the one who preached that night. And I remember just sitting there, and everything that he was talking about, everything that he was preaching was exactly what I was going through. It was exactly what I was feeling during that time in my life. And I was so broken in my seat, and I wanted to cry so bad, but I held back the tears because my friends were around me. But I was so touched by that message. And I just remember after hearing that message, they had an altar call. I wasn't too sure what all that was because it was all so new to me. And I remember just standing right there in front of my seat, and I remember just seeing all these young people go up to the altar. And for some reason, I felt something in me just tugging my heart, telling me to go. It was as if there was this invisible rope leading me to the altar. But for some reason, I was too scared to go because I was afraid of what my friends around me were going to think. And I remember just standing there, just waiting, debating if I wanted to go or not. And finally, it was there where Brother Fern said, there's someone in this room that's afraid to come up here because you're afraid of what your friends are going to think. And right then and there, I was mind blown. I was shook because he was talking to me. And so I remember just the Holy Spirit leading me up to the altar. And I remember just not knowing what to do. And Brother Fern said, if you don't know what to do, just raise up your hands and thank God. Thank God for your life. Thank God that He brought you here tonight. And I remember just lifting up my hands, and I was just I was crying out to God, thanking Him for my life, thanking Him for everything that He's done. And Sister Iris comes up behind me, and she asked me if she could pray for me. And without hesitation, I said yes. And I remember her just praying over me, laying her hands on my head, and she began to speak. And God was just speaking through her. And it was there where I broke. It was there where I just felt the presence of God fall upon me for the first time. And I remember it was as if God reached into my heart, and He pulled all the things that I had in there, and He replaced it with His love, with His joy. And it was there where I had my first encounter with God. It was there where I truly felt the love of God. It was there where I knew for a fact that God was real. And I just remember Sister Iris just laying her hands on me, and she started praying. And I remember that all the things that she was saying spoke straight to my heart. And I instantly broke. I was so broken. I began to cry. And I didn't even care at that point of who was watching. And I remember as she was praying, the presence of God fell upon me. And it was there where I felt the love of God for the first time. It was there where I felt His peace, His love, and His joy. And I remember just being there broken because it was the first time that I've ever experienced love. A love that no man could ever give. And I remember walking out of that gang service a brand new person. I remember I came in one way. I came in broken. I came in hurting. I came in empty with all this baggage on me. But I remember walking out through those doors and I was a new person. And I remember soon after all that happened, I just wanted to tell everybody about God. And so not too long after, it took me about a year to come to a point of complete surrenderance and to fully give my life to God. I found myself being tired of being tired. And I just remember just coming to the end of my rope. And it was there on January 4th, 2019, where I decided to surrender my life to God and say yes to God. And so now the rest is history. I am now a part of the New Gen team. I am a gang girl, and I am a part of the VOPalmdale gang. My name is Jenny Marquez, and I'm a third wave leader.